C'est facile donc d'imaginer que ces femmes sont...
Since they are unable to control their urine, it's not difficult to imagine that these women are often socially ostracized. This condition can be treated with 1, 2, or up to 6 operations. When the women arrive, they usually spend a lot of time here, 2 or 3 months, until they are healed. During that time, they need to make a living.
Des médecins du monde qui opèrent. Mais les médecins du monde s'occupent seulement de la partie médicale.
The organization Doctors of the World performs the operation, but they only handle the medical aspects, the surgery, not those relating to the woman's daily life. When we realized this, we wanted to come together to support each other and to find a solution.
The women of this association make cloth that they later sell in the market. Their methods are as traditional as they are basic, but the money from the sales allows them to support themselves and their children. It is said that in Mali, there is at least one woman that suffers from a fistula in every village.
When it was time for the baby to be born, it was a major problem because I couldn't give birth. They called one of the old women of the village so she would help me, but the baby still didn't come out. Everyone was frantic. They tied my belly and gave me a lot of mixtures to drink. They cut my vagina, but nothing worked. Finally, the baby was born, but it was born black, rotted by the fluids it had drunk, and it was dead. Since then, I can't contain my urine or feces. My husband and his family abandoned me. Nobody would feed me. I was alone, and nobody would touch me because they thought what I had was AIDS.
We try to find a solution to every problem, however difficult it may be.
Here, I've started a new life until the day this disease tires of me.
The most important thing is love. I go walking a lot. I see them lying down. I try to make them get up, but often sleep doesn't help matters. I tell them, come with me, because on the street all you find is violence. Come with me and you'll have a place where you can be happy. You can bathe, you'll have clothes, something to do. And if you have a family, I'll do everything I can to reunite you with them. My name is Kansaye, and for many years I lived on the street. This story is my story.
Adama Diallo, better known as Kansaye, is the benefactor of the street children of Mopti, one of these anonymous heroes that inhabits African cities. He lived on the street himself and was taken in by a French NGO working in Mopti. With them, he learned to read and write. When he grew up, he became an instructor at the same NGO to try to give back what he had learned. In the year 2000, the NGO was forced to close for economic reasons, and the children had to return to the streets. But Kansaye took care of them personally, with no outside help or any other resources but his imagination and willpower. Mopti is a port city on the banks of the Niger River, in which dozens of emigrants from rural areas arrive every day. Many children are abandoned due to a lack of resources or orphaned due to AIDS. Kansaye's goal is to get them off the street as quickly as possible. To achieve this, he provides a school for them, clothes, food, and activities that they can use to support themselves and which might serve as a profession in the future. He goes from house to house, shop to shop, asking for help for the 15 children in his care. One of his collaborators is Salif Cissé, a Quran teacher who provides shelter to the youngest children and teaches them to read and write.
What I teach these children, I teach in order to prepare them for life. Islam teaches them to understand certain norms and to follow certain rules of conduct. But the important thing is that eventually they can become tailors or carpenters. I know Kansaye well, and I think the work he's doing with these kids is extraordinary and deserves support from everyone. If it weren't for people like Kansaye, what future would these children have? You see them everywhere in the city, starving, with little clothing, no place to sleep. They don't know what to do. Kansaye's goal is to rescue these children, make them aware, and teach them another way to live that isn't wandering aimlessly through the streets. There are children here that have come from far away, and Kansaye takes care of them. He even makes sure that they return home. We recently had a boy from the Ivory Coast. Kansaye gave him clothes and taught him a trade. He then went to speak with the boy's parents. They accepted him and even paid his return trip. Now this child is doing very well for himself. I thank God for this. Here in Mali, you have to pay for everything. Registration for school, notebooks, books, pens. If they get sick, they have to be cared for. It's also important that they carry some money with them. We've all had this experience. You go out to recess and the other children buy something. If you can't have what they have, you get jealous of your friends.
Before I met Kansaye, I was a little thief. I went to the port and stole small things. I spent the day with my friends. We got into fights. We were little crooks. I'm the 10th of 12 children. My parents didn't love me. They beat me. So I decided to run away. During that time, Kansaye saw me and asked me to go with him. I did, and now I'm off the street. I've liked drawing since I was young, but when I arrived at the center, I started working in carpentry. I was the apprentice of the father of one of these kids. One day I saw other people painting, and I really liked painting. So I told Kansaye that I wanted to change from carpentry to painting, and since then I spend all of my time painting. We give the drawings we do to Kansaye. He has contact with tourists. He shows them our work and explains who did the drawings and why. Sometimes they're sensitive to our problems, and they buy the drawings. Sometimes they don't. He gives some of the money from the sales to us, and the rest he uses to cover the costs of the other children. The older kids teach the younger ones what we've learned.
Ça, il y a beaucoup de gens. Il y a beaucoup de gens. Il y a beaucoup de gens.
Il baigne dans le Niger, mais il a un slip. Ah, il a mis le slip.
Tiens, ça c'est pour ton père.
Ça, c'est pour mon père. Ça, c'est sûrement un garçon. Hein?
Ouais, ça serait marrant de voir si... regarde.